Coming home. Mashyach. Messiah. 8. Conflict. The religious influence. Considering the propensity of people to present their religion as the means to protect the faithful from Satan's influence, one would think that God was actively battling the devil in the pursuit of human souls. But that is not the case. Yahowah has very little to say about Satan the adversary. We very seldom see God exposing him, condemning him, or warning us about him, at least by his given name, Halal or Hilo ben Shakar, or his proper title, Satan the adversary. He is far more frequently presented as Babel the Lord of religion. With all the evidence demonstrating Yahowah's overwhelming predilection to work through people rather than alone, and with Satan having no other option, we should have realized that this conflict would be waged through individuals, with Yahowah's spirit enabling his chosen representative, and Satan's spirit possessing the others. And that is exactly what we find. In this ultimate conflict, the truth regarding the identities of the principal villain and leading advocate is readily known. Their very names expose whose side they are on, with Dowd meaning beloved and Shaul being indistinguishable in the Hebrew text from Sheol, hell. Dowd was personally selected by God and then immersed in his Ruach spirit as he anointed him Mashyach Messiah. King Shaul was chosen by the people as a repudiation of Yahowah. He and the wannabe apostle by that same name, Shaul questioned him, Paul, admitted to being demon-possessed. After Yahowah's name, which appears 7,000 times in his Torah, Nabi, Wa Mizmor, Dowd's is the second most frequently written, and Shaul comes in fourth, after Mos. Dowd appears 1077 times to depict the name of Yahowah's Dowd beloved son, describing the man God chose to shepherd his flock. It is scribed another 70 times to depict a beloved individual or vessel. He was a Yehudi, and thus related to Yah. Shaul is overtly depicted by name as an adversarial individual 406 times. On another 66 occasions, it is deployed to reveal how this misguided and misleading individual is associated with the lightless and godless place of eternal separation which shares his name. It is from the verb, sha'al, which means, to inquire about, ask, and question. The people's choice of king in the future, wannabe apostle were both Benjamites and, thus, based upon Jacob's prophetic depiction of the tribe in the Torah, are wolves, the principal predator of sheep. This is on behalf of the eternal leader, La Hanatzak, for the glorious conductor and everlasting guide, with regard to the one who serves with La Ebed, pertaining to the co-worker and associate of Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayah, existence and our Shalom, restoration. It is regarding Dowd, La Dowd, the approach of the beloved, who, walking along the correct path which provides the benefits of the relationship, Asher, spoke the words, Daber F Daber, communicated these statements, of this song, Hashira Hazoth, of this composition of lyrics set to music, to approach, La, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the only name of Eloah, God per his Torah. Instructions regarding his Hayah, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation. During the day, Ba Yaum, at the time, Yahowah, Yahowah, delivered him, Natsal, who spared him by rescuing him, snatching him away and thereby saving him, Hyphal perfect, from the paws, Min Kof, from the palms of the hands, of all of those in opposition to him, Kol Oyebhu, all of his adversaries and enemies, everyone showing rancor, enmity, and hostility toward him, in addition to, Wa Min, including and away from, the hand and influence, Yad. The fingers and control, even the dominion. Of Shaul, Shaul, question him, ask questions regarding what he represents, commonly known as Saul, when he said, Wa, Amar, when he proclaimed, raising his voice to sing, Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18, introduction. Historically, the name, Shaul, describes the king who led Yisrael away from Yahowah and his Torah, even onto humiliation and defeat. By demonstrating their preference for a government and military leader in the model of the Gentile nations, the people rejected Yahowah's influence in their lives and suffered for it. Having opted to control their own destiny by placing their trust in the whims of a man, they walked away from the Torah's guidance. Had Yahowah and our Savior, Dowd, not rescued them, there would be no chance of reconciliation during Kippurim. Prophetically, Shaul is the name of another Benjamite, a wolf in sheep's clothing, who, possessed by Satan, would devour Yahowah's flock. This is the self-proclaimed apostle who, under his Roman name, Paulos, did everything in the adversary's power to discredit and silence God's people, precluding Jews and Gentiles alike from knowing the God of the Torah. Almost everything Yahowah and his son had to say about the wannabe king Shaul applies to the wannabe apostle Shaul. The brief conflict between Dowd and his contemporary was chronicled as it played out in history to warn an unsuspecting world of a far more duplicitous, debilitating, and deadly foe to come. King Shaul's ill-advised and ill-fated reign lasted 24 long years, during 20 of which he sought to harm Dowd, whom he initially favored. This account begins in Shamuel/1 Samuel 13 verse 1, which states that he was 2 years into his reign when he overstepped his authority at Gilgal, the first time he acted independently of Shamuel. And while the Qumran scrolls present some or most of every chapter from 1 to 28, the entirety of the 13th is oddly missing. But we can say that Dowd's interaction with Shaul, and Yahowah's assessment of him, are overstated based solely on the king's insignificant influence on God's people. Therefore, there is good reason to deduce that both Benjamites of this name sought to discredit the same individual while sharing so much in common. Just as the Exodus from Egypt served as a prophetic precursor to the upcoming Exodus from Babylonian influences during the time of Jacob's troubles, this portrait of the man the people believed should be their king was prophetic of an individual billions of Christians would follow as an apostle, a title that holds no water with Yahowah. We can be assured that Dowd worked with Yahowah because God repetitively calls Dowd his co-worker. We know that Dowd was chosen by Yahowah, that Yahowah's spirit inspired him, that Yahowah anointed him, that he was the Messiah, king of Israel, and that he was right. We know that Dowd is the man God selected to shepherd his sheep, the one he called the righteous branch, and who served as the Zeroah sacrificial lamb. And Dowd is the designated individual at Yahowah's right side upon his return. We know that Dowd was a true prophet because he proved it. And, as if that were not more than enough, Dowd is the one man of whom Yahowah said, "He is my son and I am his father." None of this can be said of Shaul Paul. If this conflict between right and wrong, between truth and lies, between life and death, were to be ranked in today's parlance, Dowd has the high game score and Paul shorted out the machine before scoring a point. It may be nothing, but in a realm where every little nuance seems to matter, I couldn't help but notice that pause was used to describe the effects of the beast in opposition to Dowd. This is because it was from the yad hand of Shaul from which Dowd was delivered. And it is what Shaul would write with his hand that would become so hostile to everything Dowd represents. There is nothing better than reciprocated love, nothing mightier than being resolute, or more empowering than Yahowah's name. I have always loved you, Rakem Ada. I continually and genuinely cherish our relationship and adore our association. Moreover, I am merciful and compassionate because of my overwhelming affection for you, which also causes me to be concerned about you, Kalim perfect, actually, genuinely, and literally with regard to the relationship and consistently and continually with regard to time. From 11 QPs. YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in His Torah, teaching regarding His Haya, existence in our Shalom, restoration, my strength, and the one who empowers and enables me, Chezek Eni, my source of courage and character, and the reason I am capable and competent, the power behind everything, from miracles to military force, from Chazak, to harden and strengthen, to make firm and resolute, to grow and prevail. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 1. The primary Hebrew word for love is Ahab, not Rakem, which suggests that we should consider its various connotations. By using Rakem, especially in the Kalim perfect, Dowd declared that, in addition to always loving Yah, he genuinely cherished his relationship with God. Moreover, he was merciful and compassionate, but not in a soft, conciliatory sort of way, but instead courageously so. This means Dowd recognized that while the truth may sting initially, without exposing and condemning lies we cannot be truly compassionate, especially where it matters most. Further, it was Dowd's affection for God that caused this son to be concerned for his father. And this is something we seldom consider, especially in light of what religious men have said to denigrate Yahowah. We very seldom see love and power juxtaposed. And yet, in a world filled with religious and political charlatans, and patriotic and conspiratorial nimrods, it takes character and courage to speak so passionately about Yahowah and so critically of his human foes. Moving into the symbolic language of a lyricist, Dowd waxes poetic as he sings. Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the only name of Eloah, God per his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation, is the reason behind my elevated and unassailable position. Sela Eni, is my fortress and the stronghold of my rocky crag, my protection, keeping me grounded and steadfast. Wamatsuda Eni, my fortification and citadel, my means to survive. Wapalat Eni, my source of rescue and deliverance, the one who keeps me safe and secure, free from danger. My God, El Eni, my mighty shepherd among the sheep, and my rock, Sur Eni. In him, Bahu, with him, I confide and I am comfortable. Chasa, I find myself in a trusted place of refuge, a protected harbor, safe haven, and sanctuary. He is my shield, Magan Eni, my most effective defensive weapon against acts of insolence and hubris, from Ganon, to defend by covering, enveloping, and surrounding, and the brilliant light, Wakaren, the horn, trumpet, breath, summit, illuminating rays, and radiant glow, from Karen, to shine, emitting rays of light, of my freedom and salvation. Yasha Eni, my deliverance and protection, my liberation and one who keeps me out of harm's way. He is the source of my illustriousness in this unassailable high place. Misgab Eni, my fortification and security, my fortress, a compound of my, to ponder the implications and sagab, of being in an inaccessibly high place, set on high and seen as illustrious. 18:2, whose light I radiate, halal, whose virtues I extol and whose illustrious nature I radiate, clearly, visibly, and brilliantly conveying that light because he is worthy of it, and I am confident in it. Puel, affirming that he is the beneficiary and that this light is from Yah. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 2 and 3 in part. Dowd's status is unrivaled because his illustriousness comes from Yahowah, whose light radiates from him. We see it in every word he writes. Normally it would be odd to speak of my elevated position and being grounded in the same breath. And yet with Yah, this is our reality, as it was Dowd's experience. When we realize that we are unique and special because God made it possible for us to become distinct and exceptional, we can celebrate our uncommon contribution to the family of God. Our aptitudes and attitudes, once enriched, enlightened, and empowered by Yah, can be a formidable force for good without a hint of hubris. To ignore these marvelous benefits, and to say nothing about them, deprives Yahowah the satisfaction of seeing our appreciation for how he enables us to accomplish something worthwhile during our lives. Further, it is by contemplating the nature of light that we come to understand the benefit of being empowered by the Almighty. Light takes us to the next dimension and beyond. It makes us eternal. It gives us the capacity to explore the universe. And it makes us ever more like Yah. Theirs was a dynamic partnership, not just eminently enlightening and empowering but also liberating and saving. Yahowah delivered on his son's behalf so that Dowd could deliver on our behalf. Somewhere along the way, every covenant member emulates Dowd's correct response to God's instructions. We choose of our own accord to respond to Yahowah's invitations to meet with him and welcome us into his home. Knowing that His invitation includes adoption into his family, Dowd responded enthusiastically, as should we. I consistently choose to call upon and meet with, Kara, I want to invite and welcome, summon and announce, read and recite, Cal imperfect cohortative, from 11 QPs, YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, restoration, and so, from, Wamin, my adversaries, Oyeb any, those in open opposition to me, showing animosity and rancor toward me, my enemies and foes, I am liberated, Yasha, I am delivered and spared, freed and kept safe, Nifle imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 3. Dowd came to appreciate what it took others another 3,000 years to realize. First and foremost, Yahowah is our liberator, assuring our freedom from human institutions, especially religious and political oppression. Those who believe that they are saved as a result of being religious or patriotic remain unaware that God is only interested in saving souls from these human contrivances. The fact that there isn't a Hebrew word for religion ought to be enough to convince rational individuals that Yahowah isn't religious. The closest the language allows may be Babel, which is used in this next statement. Since it means to bind and speaks of a binding oath of allegiance, it reflects the meaning of the Latin word upon which the English term religion is based, religare, to bind. Its root is lig, also meaning to tie and bind, with reconveying again. It is found in words like ligament, obligate, oblige, and of course, religion. It was religion, after all, which conceived and popularized the denial and misappropriation of Dowd's attributes, accolades, and achievements. The Talmud and New Testament, as religious documents, are the source of broad-based revolts against father and son. And might I add the obvious, to liberate is to unbind. And therefore, to Yasha is to be free from religion. After the first religious notions were invented, they would use oaths of allegiance to control the masses. The worst of this horrid lot became Christianity, the deadly plague which confuses and confounds billions of Gentiles, many of whom are led to believe that God was willing to renege on his promises for their benefit and Israel's detriment. The binding and restricting cords of the boisterous and religious, Babel, the constraining implements and destructive rigging of the institutions requiring a binding oath and pledge of allegiance, the broken and offensive tentacles and ruinous ropes of a noose, even the fibrous threads, plague, moth, associated with the decay of the physical body and the pandemic disease affecting the population, entangle me to withhold that which is vital, of any, surround me, ensnaring and engulfing me in moving attempts to restrain and control me, Cal perfect. And, the abhorrent and detestable torrents seeking to wash away the inheritance, Nakal Belial, the worthless and destructive floodwaters of the rebellious seeking to usurp and wash away the proper allotment, are inundating and overwhelming me, Baathni, are deluging and engulfing me, Peel imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 4. While there isn't a Hebrew word for religion, Belial does a fine job of describing the effect this deadly plague has on those who are ungodly since they lack understanding as a result of being confused and confounded by mingling things together. It is a compound of Bali, to negate and be without, and Yal, to benefit and avail. To Belial is to forego the benefits of the Torah, Mikri and Berith. And speaking of the ill effects of religion, this next statement seems to predict replacement theology, which is the raison d'etre underlying Christianity's existence. It served as the basis of Paul's arguments against the Torah, the Berith, Yisrael, and Yehudim. Shayul, question him, commonly known as Saul and Paul, tentacles, Babel, binding cords, the implements of the boisterous religious processions of institutions requiring a binding oath and pledge of allegiance, the broken and offensive company in ruinous riggings and noose, even the fibrous threads, spin me around to change me, sabab any, try to alter my purpose and direction, transforming my intent by turning everything around regarding me, and coiled around and encircling me. They immobilize me as they seek to reverse my course. They approach and confront me, making claims against me, Kadam any. In the West they initially encountered me with their antagonistic implications, anticipating my efforts to forestall them, Peel perfect, with the enticing lure, Mauch, through the bait and snares deployed to capture and control, and thus the means of entrapment, of the plague of death, moth, of this pandemic disease that causes the entire population stricken with it to die. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 5. Sheol does not have tentacles. Hell does not have any influence on those who are currently living on earth. Further, King Shaul was never able to control or change Dowd's relationship with Yahowah, nor convince anyone that he had done so. Therefore, this Shaul is the wayward soul Yahowah called the plague of death, the one who, Sabab, changed his name to Paulos immediately before he, Sabab, reversed course and spun everything around regarding Dowd's purpose, with his tentacles coiling around him to immobilize the Messiah such that he could alter his intent. In so doing, the moth, pandemic disease Shaul spread was given, Mauch, an enticing lure, enabling the father of lies to capture and control his victims. The stakes are so high at this juncture, this bears repeating. When the self-proclaimed apostle Shaul was allegedly immobilized and blinded by Satan on the road to Damascus, he heard the voice of Satan summon him by name. His ambitions motivated him to withdraw from personally murdering Torah-observant Yehudim to creating a new religion which turned the world against Jews, universally discrediting them and nearly wiping them out. It was only when he was exposed and condemned as anti-Torah that Shaul changed his identity, becoming the anti-Semitic Greco-Roman the Gentile world would honor as Paulos. In his own words, the transformation from the Hebrew Shaul to the Roman Paulos occurred upon encountering a certain magician, a Jewish false prophet whose name was Bar-Jesus. Acts 13 verse 6, the world's most nefarious false prophet immediately went about destroying his credibility by stating, but Elymas the magician, for thus his name is translated, was opposing them, seeking to turn the proconsul away from the faith. Acts 13 verse 8, that's simply untrue. Elymas isn't a translation of Yahusha, Yahowah saves. El is God's title, making Eli my God. Mas means to reject, to despise and abhor a loathsome individual. Therefore, rather than serving as a translation of Jesus, as Shaul falsely claims, Elimas conveys, my God despises and rejects this loathsome individual. It should be Shaul's epitaph. Using a deceiver's favorite ploy, Shaul mitigated future criticism and confused his audience by projecting his faults on Jesus, saying, but Saul, who was also Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, fixed his gaze upon him, and said, you who are full of all deceit and fraud, you son of the devil, you enemy of all righteousness, will you not cease to make crooked the straight ways of the Lord? Acts 13 verses 9 to 10. It was Shaul, now Paul, who became the son of the devil. We know this because the prophets clearly conveyed that Yahowah unambiguously identified Shaul as the son of evil and the father of lies. Over the course of a few words, Satan's apostle appended reality such that this Roman, communicating in Greek, claimed to represent God truthfully, while implying neither Jesus, Hebrews, nor Jews could be trusted. Recognizing that Satan is the Lord, and now, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon you, and you will be blind and not see the sun for a time. Acts 13 verse 11, this did not happen to Bar Jesus/Elimas. In actuality, Paul is projecting what had previously happened to him on the road to Damascus onto this foe, which is a common tactic among narcissists. And now, Shaul Paul is doing as Dowd had just predicted, making enticing claims which lure people to their death. The prediction in Mizmor/Psalm 18 verse 5 and its fulfillment in Acts 13 should prompt the wary to turn away from the perverted scriptures which proclaim, God raised him from the dead so that he will never be subject to decay. As God has said, I will give you the holy and sure blessings promised to David. Acts 13 verse 34. As shared previously, with Shaul and Christians, it is a case of devious individuals deceiving the faithful to keep their disingenuous faith from being dismissed as dishonest, deadly, and damning. With his transition away from Shaul questioned him to the Roman Paul, the principal author of the Christian New Testament, reveals that he did not take kindly to Jews questioning his nonsense. He came to despise those who could hold him accountable and expose him as a false prophet. And since Yehudim knew the Torah and prophets sufficiently to confront his errant rhetoric, Shaul needed to denigrate the credibility of those commissioned with speaking for Yahowah. In Shaul's rebranding as Paulos, the wannabe apostle revealed his newfound affinity for the Greek god Apollo and his preference for Roman words and ideas. The fact that Paulos conveys lowly and little in Latin demonstrates that a man with his ego would overlook its literal meaning in favor of what it represents, the sun god of the Greeks. This reality is underscored by the fact that Paul's linguistic skills were so inept he believed that Elimas was a translation of Jesus. By using Zar in this next statement, two things are possible. Dowd could be speaking of being besieged and diminished during the time of Jacob's troubles when Yisrael is similarly confined and narrowed. Or he is revealing that his soul was bound in Sheol during the fulfillment of Matzah. In having been bound up and confined, with my scope distressfully narrowed and restricted in adversarial fashion, ba hatzerer la eni, with having been besieged and diminished, being wrapped up and covered over in a troublesome and vexing manner, my case weakened by vexing forces, I consistently call upon and continually meet with, Kara, I habitually invite and genuinely welcome, actually summon and announce, and literally read and recite, Kal imperfect, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the only name of Eloah, God per his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation. I have requested assistance, Shua, I have cried for help, pleading for backing, imploring aid by shouting out in this difficult and distressing situation, from my God, Wa El Elohim Eni. He consistently listens, Shama, he hears, paying attention, Kal imperfect, to my voice, Kal Eni, to the words I speak, from, Min, because of and by way of, his radiant residence, Hikelhu, his brilliant temple, his shining sanctuary, his light-bearing royal complex. My cry for assistance, Shua Eni, my audible and loud request, my vocal pleading for help, reaches his presence, Lapanahu, bow, approaches and enters his appearance, within his ears, Ba Ozenhu. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 6. Once again, since Dowd was never confined or bound by King Shaul, yet now so severely restricted by the apostle Shaul, Dowd may be alarmed by the consequence of replacement theology. Or God's Son is potentially addressing the confinement he would suffer in Sheol to save his people from the likes of Christianity. Further, Dowd never asked Yahowah to relieve him of King Saul but did ask for assurance that he would be released from Sheol after depositing the guilt of the covenant family in this place. Moreover, the Messiah is eager to hold the apostle Shaul accountable for creating the most horridly anti-Semitic religion in human history by robbing him of everything he achieved. As I was translating this next statement, Israel's leading periodical, Haaretz, published an article revealing that the land is hundreds of years overdue for a massive earthquake. The journalist takes note of an earthquake that occurred 2,760 years ago during the reign of Uzziah and wrote of a future reference to a divine temper tantrum. Too bad she didn't report why this next big one is about to occur. Then, the land, Eretz, the region, earth, and material realm, will suffer earthquakes, will move back and forth, quaking in a wave or rolling motion, reeling such that those on it totter, and tremble violently, swaying to and fro. The geological mechanism fundamental to building, Mosad, the basis of extending, the mountains, Har, of uplifted and elevated terrain and prominent hills, ridges, and ranges, will shake in agitating and anguishing fashion, Ragas, becomes unstable and turbulent, causing an astonishing disturbance, from earthquakes, moving back and forth, quaking in a wave-like motion, reeling and tottering. It is because, indeed, truthfully as a direct result at this moment, he is enormously displeased and angry, Charalahu, he is enraged and aroused, his temper burning with furious indignation, he has approached the point of becoming incensed and zealous in his concern. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 7. So much for the notion that a happy little Jesus in his pretty white robes is returning with open arms to welcome the world's children to come and play together in perfect harmony. God is livid, and rightfully so. Seismically, Yisrael is riddled with faults, situated at the intersection of four tectonic plates: Nubian, East African and Syrian, Sinai, northeastern Egyptian, Arabian, extreme western Arabia, and Anatolian, southeastern Turkey. The most hazardous of these lies along the Dead Sea Rift, so this is not an idle threat. It is also telling that the Jordan Valley last experienced major earthquakes in 1033 CE, marking Yahuwah's disgust with the events occurring in Yisrael in the Babel year 5000 Yah. While the preceding and following contain symbolic language, let's not miss the point. Yahuwah is not only indignant, but he is also very concerned about the welfare of his people. By unleashing a series of earthquakes, he can accomplish several things simultaneously, chief among them, ensuring that the religious and political edifices constructed by men will crumble and fall. The Islamic jihadists, modern crusaders, and socialist armies brought into Israel to subdue God's people will be toppled. The Dead Sea, with the opening of a southern escape route for its waters, will become vibrant again. And the promised upwelling of living waters may emerge from deep within Moriah, flowing to the sea. Should anyone think that this song commemorates Yahuwah's response to the irritating behavior of King Shaul, rather than the religious fallout from the self-proclaimed apostle Shaul, please note that this next statement and the one before and after it depict events which did not occur 3,000 years ago but will be experienced 10 years hence. Yes, King Shaul was a poor choice, one which proved clearly counterproductive and deadly, but it was short-lived and quickly reversed, and the deaths were relatively few. Such is not the case with the plague which became the Christian religion. Burning indignation, ashen, heated carbon dust which obliterates the light as a result of smoking animosity, will ascend, Allah, will be offered up as a sign of intense rage, from within his nostrils, Bahu, out of his resentment, and, Wa, a consuming, Akal, a destructive, fire, Esh, blazing flame, will come out of his mouth, Min Pehu, will come forth through his spoken words, as burning coals, Gakal, flashes of flames and embers of fire, are kindled, Bar, combust and burn, blazing forth, from him, Minhu. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 8. Yahuwah is burning with righteous indignation. However, his frustration is derived from the issues discussed in the previous two statements. That makes this declaration the conclusion of one train of thought leading to the beginning of another. His response is not causing the expansion of the universe or bending of spacetime, as these things are presented in Psalm 18 verse 9. God is either expanding it such that the earth is more isolated so that there is more for his children to explore, or he is increasing the size of the spiritual realm so that he can come closer without destroying our planet. Either way, it's going to be a bad day for those who missed the opportunity to avail themselves of his light. The world of men has finally devolved to a place where there is little hope of salvation. He will expand the universe and enlarge the heavens, bending spacetime, Wa-Nadashamaim, he stretched out, extending and spreading the cosmos, and then he will descend, Wa-Yared, he will come down, Kal imperfect, with a very thick and opaque cloud, Arapel, with obscuring atmospheric phenomenon comprised of water vapor which blocks the light, under his feet, Takhath Regelhu, below his stance and underneath his footsteps. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 9. Don't get caught in the ensuing darkness. Return to Yah now, otherwise be prepared to endure the ensuing darkness. A cloud, even more miserable and obscuring than that of the Holocaust, will soon envelop the world. There are three reasons for the darkness below Yahuwah's feet. First, this is what humanity apart from God has brought upon itself. This will be a dark time of war, famine, pestilence, propaganda, depression, and societal disintegration as the political left and religious right fight against one another. For many, this is just the beginning because the darkness enveloping them will continue as they transition from hell on earth to an eternity without light in the black hole of Sheol. Second, Yahuwah is coming for his covenant family. And they will be shining before him, clearly distinguished and readily seen. At this joyous moment, he will not have to witness the resulting sense of godless desperation that has brought the world he created to its knees, such that it is on the verge of destroying all life on the planet. Instead, God will be enjoying the company of his children without being burdened by the aggravation of the last vestiges of religious, political, patriotic, and conspiratorial carnage. And third, the earth must be prepared for Yahuwah's light. It will be shielded while this transformation occurs during the brief interval between Kippurim and Sukkah. Yahuwah's very approach will bend spacetime, creating a phenomenon never previously witnessed by humankind. At this juncture, I'd like to interrupt our prophetic tour with this announcement. Even though Hebrew verbs are liberated in time, the English language employs verb tenses, so we have to choose a tense for readability, relegating each action to the past, present, or future. The challenge for us is one of perspective. Daud was taken to the future as a prophet to witness what will transpire in our time. He wrote about what will soon occur, documenting the most extraordinary episode in human history. He is, therefore, sharing something that he observed from beginning to end, as he experienced it transpired. Although, in the normal progression of time, none of this would occur for another 3,000 years from the date it was written. The essential nature of prophecy is that time is a dimension in which spiritual beings can travel, just as we can move side to side, backward or forward, and jump up and down in 3 dimensions. A prophet enabled by Yahuwah can witness the future and can convey what he or she has observed long before it transpires. Therefore, a prophet is not predicting the future but is, instead, reporting it. If we want to see this as Daud experienced it, we must write it as it is unfolding, because that is the perspective of a prophet. This is Daud's testimony regarding what he was shown while witnessing it transpire. Also relevant, having just reread the entirety of Daud's ordeal with King Shaul in Shamuel 1 Samuel 18-31, nothing that is disclosed in this prophecy occurred at that time. By way of review, it wasn't until Shaul was demon-possessed that he sought to pursue Daud, and that's important because Daud had given Shaul no reason to dislike him, much less kill him. And yet, Satan, realizing the role the Son of God and Messiah would play in refuting the adversary and saving God's people, wanted Daud silenced and restrained. King Shaul never came close to killing Daud. On the 2 occasions he and Daud were together in the same place, Daud had the upper hand and could have killed Shaul had that been his desire. But Daud spared the life of King Shaul because the king was not his adversary, and he repeatedly told him so. Further, those most closely associated with King Shaul, including his senior advisors and son, not only refused to see Daud as a foe, but they praised him. Therefore, the events being depicted in this prophecy transpire in the prophet's future, not in his present situation. And this time, the self-proclaimed and demon-possessed apostle Shaul is absolutely and unequivocally Daud's adversary, a person Daud and Yahowah are committed to silencing as they strive to rid the world of his pestilence. Returning to the narrative. And he will enjoy unfettered movement, YAHOWah, he will have freedom of flight, moving freely traveling, alongside a winged being, al-Cherub, beside a cherub, a spiritual implement originally tasked with guarding the Garden of Eden, adding to the splendor of Yah's throne, while embellishing the Ark of the Covenant, flying through the air, he hovered and moved swiftly. He swooped down and soared, effortlessly, he flew down, gliding majestically, upon, the wings, kanaf, of the Spirit, ruach, of the wind. Mizmor/lyrics to a song Psalm 18 verse 10. In Yashayah 19:1 and Mizmor 104:3, Rakab is used as it is here, with Yahowah moving above the clouds, seemingly riding within them. In the psalm, Rakab is also paired with halak and ruach to convey the idea of God traveling along with the Spirit. Unless Yahowah is returning in substantially diminished form, he isn't going to be hitching a ride on a cherub-winged spiritual being. However, cherubs are rife with symbolism, because they not only flank his throne but also his Ark of the Covenant. So, they may add a bit of sparkle and pageantry to his arrival. The reference to the cherub is especially interesting in light of Yahowah's promise to rid the earth of human religious and political institutions so that he can transform what remains into the conditions experienced in Eden. The garden was guarded by cherubim. Moreover, the fact that the wings of cherubim rise above the back and sides of the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant because upon Yah's return for his covenant family it is Daud who will be preparing it for their arrival. Therefore, this reference could be more about the importance of these things at this time and less about a means of conveyance. It is also possible that Daud is actually trying to describe how the wings of the Spirit appeared to him, drawing upon his familiarity with the wings of the cherubim rising above the Ark of the Covenant. This could actually explain the set-apart Spirit's association with the covenant and her means to give its children flight. He will be transforming, he will be turning, the obscuration and ignorance, choshek, the unknown nature, associated with his enclosure and covering, setherhu, all around him, sabibhu, surrounding him, his sukkah shelter, sukkahu, his protective enclosure, intentionally dimmed, chashika, shrouded in darkness, from 11 cupis, with a visible atmospheric projection of water, main, up shachak, with an overhanging canopy of water as if a cloud from the sky. Mizmor/lyrics to a song Psalm 18 verse 11. Upon Yahowah's return, there will be sheep and goats, friends and foes. His family will be protected while those in pursuit of his flock will be destroyed. Therefore, Sukkah, the place of refuge and protection, is concealed from these adversarial foes, such that they will be denied access. The religious and political will be restrained from harming Yah's people and entering God's home. Apart from the divergent audience, there may be another possibility. Yahowah's arrival will be so bright, it could be blinding. Therefore, to avoid inducing fear and harming his people, God may seek to tone down his initial appearance to make everyone feel more comfortable. Also, a great deal will be happening between Kippurim and Sukkah in 2033. With every political and religious influence removed and the earth transformed from the precipice of destruction to the majesty of Eden, Yahowah may choose to unveil himself and his home gradually over these 5 days. As an interesting aside, religious Jews may have actually come up with a self-fulfilling prophecy regarding Sukkah. Ever since the diaspora caused by Rabbi Akiba's false messiah, Sukkah, referred to as Sukkot in Judaism, has been so marginalized that it is largely dismissed. As a result, religious Jews have excluded themselves from camping out with Yah. Yahowah's perspective on this date is quite different. He tells us in Zechariah 14 verse 16 that, upon his return and the restoration of his people, the feast of Sukkah is the one Mikra everyone will come to Jerusalem to celebrate. Then in Nehemiah 8, we read. And the entire community of those who have returned from captivity will make a Sukkah. Then they will camp out in these tents. For since the days of Yahushua, Joshua, the son of Nun, unto this day, the children of Israel have not done so. And there will be great happiness. Nehemiah 8:17, also, day by day, from the first day unto the last day, he, Ezra, will read from the scroll of the Torah of God. And they will observe the feast for 7 days. And on the 8th day, there will be a mode, in accordance with the instruction. Nehemiah/Yahowah comforts/Nehemiah 8 verse 18. Having proven themselves religious by abusing their souls on Yom Kippurim, most Jews show no desire to camp out with their God. The only effort put into the observance entails a misreading of Korah 23, where they cobble together a stick, some willow sprouts, a palm frond, along with an ugly piece of mildly sour and otherwise useless yellow fruit originally cultivated in Greece. Rabbis being rabbis, however, have managed to create a cartel around this forlorn fruit and charge upward of $500 to $1,000 for a single specimen of their religiously sanctioned etrog. While we are here, let's consider Nehemiah 8:8. Ezra's statement regarding Sukkah is exceptional. They will read, Wakara, they will recite and proclaim aloud, from the written document, Ba HaSeper, from the scroll and letter, of the Torah, teaching, guidance, instruction, and direction, of the Almighty, Ha-Elohim, so as to clarify the instruction, making it intelligible and clear through exacting translations and revealing explanations, Parash, to precisely inform, to show the declarations as distinct and distinguished, providing explanations which enable sound decisions. And they will be provided, Wasim, they set before them and cause, bringing about, insights by prudently interpreting the text, intelligently explaining the principles involved, Sekel, advancing knowledge by amplifying and elucidating the meaning, so that they will understand, making the connections to comprehend the teaching, YBYN, such that they could access the information, process the instructions, and impart wisdom by way of diligent consideration of the directions, of the micro. Invitation to be called out and meet with God, Ba Ha-Micra, during the invitation to read and be welcomed, to be called out by name, from a compound of my, to ponder the meaning of Kara, to be invited and welcomed by reading and reciting, to be called out and meet. Nachemiah/Yahowah Comforts/Nehemiah 8 verse 8. If ever a statement could be interpreted as validating our efforts, this one certainly applies. It is the motive behind the translations, insights, and commentary. It is also the source of our understanding and subsequent teaching. There may be nothing to it, but since it is possible, I thought I'd share the fact that the deadliest aspect of a star's light comes from cosmic rays. We are protected from them here on Earth by its magnetic field as well as by the copious amounts of water in the atmosphere. Astronauts are not similarly immune. Scientists understand that, if it were possible, a space capsule surrounded by water would provide such protection. Just as in the case of Sukkah, walls of water protect against one of light's harshest attributes. Yahowah's family and his foes will perceive the events of this day differently. Those returning to God and restored into fellowship will find truth in every glimmer of light as they appreciate every shade and color. The religious and militant will experience the devastating effects of hailstones and fire. And this is as it should be, with water, light, and fire being both essential to life and caustic to it depending upon the circumstance. Out of, from, this knowledge and the brilliant illumination it provides, Noga, the radiance and splendor of enlightenment, of that which can be known and which engenders an appropriate response, this bright and majestic appearance, draped in the luster of light, conveying information about him, Negtu, reporting vital evidence in front of him, speaking volumes about him, colorful hailstones, Barad, dappled water crystals in speckled colors, and flashes of fire, Wagakal Esh. Flaming streaks of light passed through, Abar, were extended, crossing over, the visible moisture suspended in the air around him, Abhu. Mizmor 18:12. YAHOWAH, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the only name of Eloah, God per his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation, will speak resoundingly, Ram, thunder and roar, in the heavens, Ba Shemaim, within the spiritual realm, and as the Almighty, Wa, Elion, as the Most High, from Allah, the one who raises and lifts up, will offer his voice, Nathan Kaul who, give by bestowing the sound of his audible speech, there will be colorful hailstones, Barad, dapple water crystals in speckled colors, and flashes of fire, Wagakal, Esh, flaming streaks of light. Mizmor 18:13. Then he will dispatch, Washalak who, he will send out, and broadly dispensed, Waputzhem, scatter such that they were dispersed in multiple places, his missiles, Chetsu, his arrows, from Chatsats, that which separates and divides, ruining and routing the confused, consuming them, Wahamamhem, creating social chaos and panic for the adversarial forces, destroying them, by firing countless beams of light, Wabarak Rabab, by shooting and hurling innumerable flashes and bolts of light. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 14. It's always interesting the way Yahowah consistently brings us back to where it all began. The universe was created with light and, as we know, life emerged from water. Now it is light which will be the demise of those who will be incinerated and washed away, with the word of God manifested as light and water. Having begun our relationship with God camping out with him in the Garden of Eden, our earthly adventure will conclude with Sukkah, which denotes the time we are invited to camp out with God forevermore. Every now and again we confront a word that just seems a bit out of place. It could be due to the lexicons or my lack of understanding. But nonetheless, rather than pretend that I'm an unthinking robot ready to concur with everything I read, a little independence isn't just appropriate, without it the relationship would be less interesting for Yah. In this light, while I enjoyed the thought behind Barad, dappled water crystals in speckled colors, it was also intriguing to see Hammam used to describe the effects of the conflagration. It hints of confusion, such that the targets of these bolts of light will be confounded upon learning that belief in the gods they served only led to annihilation by the God they never knew. Most of the time everything fits just as we'd expect. Such is the case with these rivers becoming visible and exposing the foundations of the world at this moment in time. Then, mighty rivers, Apik, the valleys, ravines, and channels, of water, Maim, will be seen, Araya, will become visible, are revealed. And the foundations, Mausada, the underlying structure, of the world, Tebel, the planet, including the perversity, confusion, and abominable nature of the people who live on the earth, will be revealed and exposed, Gala, will be made known and exposed, from your disapproval and rebuke, Min Giera, Ada, as a result of expressing condemnation and showing what was wrong, Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching. Regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, restoration, as a result of, Min, the conscience and resulting judgment, Neshama, the capacity to be discerning and moral, to make reasoned decisions, to be rational and logical, of the spirit, Ruach, the set-apart feminine and maternal manifestation of Yah's nature, of your breath reveals your animosity and resentment, Ada, of your nostrils to display your displeasure. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 15. The earthquakes will topple man's religious shrines, political establishments, and military outposts, turning them to rubble. The laser-like beams of light will reduce the belligerents to dust and bone. Then the upwelling of massive amounts of water will wash it all away, cleansing and healing the earth. YAHOWAH is going to expose and condemn the genocidal anti-Semites who sought to impose their final solution on Yisrael and Yehudim. God is going to explain why they, including their religious beliefs and political aspirations, are wrong. He will judge them, holding them accountable. However, since YAHOWAH's word did not matter to them in the past, it will not have any effect on this day. They will remain as Hamam, confused as ever. The realization that evidence and reason, even when the testimony comes directly from God, have no effect on the overtly religious and political, the conspiratorial and militant, is something we have long known. So, while it's still appropriate for YAHOWAH to tell them why what they have said and done was wrong, he's not doing so for the comrades, crusaders, and jihadists but instead on behalf of their victims. Long ago, when we first tried to translate YAHOWAH's testimony regarding creation, we concluded that by giving Adam a neshama, God was not only making this man in his image but was also giving him a conscience. He would have the ability to exercise good judgment and, thus, possess the capacity to think rationally. The neshama would be an effective tool, a moral compass, something mankind could use to differentiate between good and bad, truth and deception, that which is of God and that which is not. It was something we would be able to use to find our way from mortality to immortality, from decaying matter to spirit, and from the corrupted world of men to a place Yah had perfected. Here, this neshama is not only associated with YAHOWAH, revealing that God has a conscience. When used in conjunction with Gala, Jaera, and Af, it is obviously judgmental in nature. We had been right about our neshama all those many years ago. Without it, these translations and coming to know YAHOWAH would have been impossible. Our neshama is not only the part of our nature that makes us like God but is also what we must use to know God. As we progress to the next declaration, it's important to recognize that Daud is speaking, revealing what he witnessed and experienced YAHOWAH doing on this day, a future event with Daud playing a commanding role at YAHOWAH's behest. He reached out, Shalak, he extended himself, stretching out, Kal imperfect, from on high, Min Marom, from the heights of heaven, from the most elevated, advantaged, and desirable location, from Rum, to rise and grow, becoming magnified, grasping hold of me, Lakach any, he obtained, selected, and chose me, then received me, Kal imperfect. He drew me out, Masha any, safely extracting me by pulling me out, the basis of Mos, to draw out, Hyphal imperfect, of the abundance of waters, Min Maim Rabbim, of a great proliferation of water and a sea or pool of rabbis. Mizmor 18:16. He snatched me away and saved me, delivering me, Natsal any, he spared me from danger, rescuing me from harm's way, taking me to more favorable circumstances after defending me, keeping me safe and secure by removing me, Hyphal imperfect, from my most influential adversary, Min Oyeb any az, away from the one who intensely opposes me, the individual with the greatest animosity, enmity, hostility, and rancor toward me, the harshest and most pervasive foe, the most violent opponent, and from Wamin, those who shun me, openly refusing to engage with me, Same any, the many who either dislike or abhor me and those who slight me due to their aversion to me, Kal participle. For indeed, KY, they held too high a status within society, had conquered too many people, and were too obstinate and hardened for me, Amitz Min any, they were too self-willed and stubborn, too incapable of change, and were too established, persistent, and determined for me, especially as a result of the enormous forces they had mustered and marshaled against me. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 17. YAHOWAH is redeploying Daud to protect his flock and defend them from those preying upon them, as he did 3,000 years ago. Only this time, the number of foes has increased considerably as has the power of their weapons. Therefore, Yah is both empowering Daud and protecting him, dispatching him and saving him. When the demon-possessed King Shaul sought to kill Daud, his hostile troops and weapons never overwhelmed or overpowered YAHOWAH's son. Moreover, those closest to King Shaul considered Daud a hero. Rather than shun him, they desired to engage with him. Therefore, this prophetic narrative portrays the attitude of Yah's people when he returns with Daud. In all of this drama, a satisfying insight can be gleaned from the description of Daud as Masha drawn out of the waters, because Masha is the basis of Moses' name. Just as the great liberator was withdrawn from the religiosity of the kingdom of the Nile, God's son is saved from a sea of rabbis. Daud's sea of enemies would emerge due to the words of one very influential enemy. This, of course, was the demon-possessed Shaul Paul of Christian infamy. Conditions will be as they exist today. The religious and political are the most influential and empowered. They hold the highest status in our world. And yet, they rank among the most obstinate and self-willed people on the planet. YAHOWAH delivered his son to save us, but rather than show our gratitude, mankind shunned the Messiah, refusing to engage with our Savior. And sadly, Daud's people would remain obstinate for 2,000 years thereafter. Continuing to address his role fulfilling Pesach and Matzah, Daud reported. They approach and confront me, Kadam any, they oppose me, some even anticipating me while trying to forestall my purpose, during the day, Ba Yaum, in the day, of my imminent destruction and ultimate distress, Eyd any, my burden regarding the disastrous and inappropriate nature of Yisrael, from Yud, my association together with firebrands, and therefore, Wa, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence nar shalom, reconciliation, came to exist as, Haya, was, is, and remains, continually and consistently being, Kal imperfect, my provision to support my life and assist me, La Mishan any, the one approaching and drawing near to provide what I needed to sustain life and uphold the reason for my life, from my, to ponder who and what to shun, to lean on and trust. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 18. Romans would mutilate Daud's body on Passover. But the following day would be the most egregious, as his Nepesh soul carried Yisrael's guilt into Sheol. Without Yahuwah's support and assurance of salvation, Daud would have lacked the capability to bear the extreme burden of his sacrifice. Further, as the exemplar of Yisrael, we find a revealing use of EYD burden in Dabram Deuteronomy 32 verse 35. It suggests that Yisrael's demise is also imminent. Speaking of coming to the aid of his people at a time when Yisrael is to be rendered defenseless, Yahuwah confirms his intent to defend them from harm, vowing, "This quarrel is mine, so vengeance is mine, as is recompense and retribution. Their feet will totter, and they will slip up and fall as they are overthrown in due time, because the day of their destruction, EYD, is at hand, and such things shall come upon them quickly." Dabram/word/Deuteronomy 32 verse 35. It should be obvious to anyone familiar with King Shaul's jealousy and resulting animosity toward Daud, as written in 1 Samuel chapters 18 through 31, that the scale of this forthcoming event infinitely surpasses that episode. The historic account clearly paints a prophetic picture, one in which the names and location remain unchanged, only the timing and the extent of the belligerence. And, then, he brought me out, Yatzep Eni, he came out with me, Hyphal imperfect, to, La, approaching and concerning, this vast expanse, Ha-Merchab, the freedom of an infinite space and limitless realm. He withdrew me, removing me, Shalatz Eni, he took me away to a better place, delivering me from that danger while empowering me, Peel imperfect, because indeed, KY, this is reliable and worth emphasizing, he wants to experience life with me, Chafez Ba Eni, he finds our association pleasing, is fond of his relationship with me, and he is a willing participant in our mutual desire to hang out and do things together, Cal perfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 19. This is a very bold statement. It is the essence of what Daud represents. It is central to everything we have learned. Our Father brought his Son to the vast expanse of the universe, removing him as far away from the diminutive confines of Sheol as possible. And he did so for the most important reason, he wanted to experience life with him because he enjoyed spending time with his Son. And while Daud is the epitome of Yahuwah's love, God's affinity for us will be quite similar. He enjoys our company. YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayah, existence and our Shalom, restoration, treated me, Gamal, Eni, committed the energy, effort, and resources to deal with me, rearing me, in accordance with, Ka, consistent with and corresponding to, me being right, Tzedek Eni, me being correct, honest, and accurate, and thus deeming me as justly vindicated and acquitted. Consistent with, Ka, according to, the cleansing of my hands, Boryad Eni, the purity of my influence, from bearer, to purify and cleanse, testing and proving, he brought me back and restored me, Shabla Eni, he facilitated my return and restoration, taking me to this place where I currently reside, Hyphal imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 20. When it comes to God, all that really matters is being right. He will take care of the rest. Just as Shub describes the occasion of restoration and return, it is used here to reveal Daud's involvement in the process. His return coincides with Yisrael's return. It is for this reason that Daud's name is mentioned more than any other, save Yahuwah, himself. Capitalize upon what Daud achieved on our behalf by following the Messiah's example for being right with God, and you will enjoy the same result. Yes, indeed, this is because, KY, truthfully, it is for the explicit reason that, I have observed, closely examined, and carefully considered, Shamar, I paid attention to and focused upon, watching over, researching, scrutinizing, and analyzing, studied and seriously thought about, the ways, Derek, the route and path through life, the journey leading to the destination, of Yahuwah, Yahuwah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions. Regarding his Hayah, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation. I have not been shown wrong, lo, Rasheki, I have not been incorrect or invalidated, by my God, Elohim Eni. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 21. This is where the journey home begins for all of us. The path to Yahuwah is open to those who Shamar closely examine and carefully consider his ways as they are presented within the Torah. And since God provides the answers, there is no excuse for not being right. As a prophet, Daud was held to the highest possible standard, absolute perfection. Everything he wrote is accurate. This is true in part due to inspiration but, also, because he capitalized upon Yahuwah's means to facilitate good judgment. He did his part and studied Yahuwah's testimony ensuring that his assessments consistently reflected God's intent. The more we contemplate this open letter Yahuwah has written, the more often we will be rewarded with useful insights. Yes, God could spoon-feed us, providing a data download, but then what would have been the purpose of everything he has already said and done? Relationships are only worthwhile when everyone participates, and our job is to listen to God by closely examining and carefully considering his testimony. It is also the only way to be right. Daud set the example God would like us to follow. For, KY, his every means to exercise good judgment and justifiably resolve disputes, Kol Mishpat all of his decisions, his judgments, and his justice, as well as his plans and prescriptions, are before me and available to me, Laneg Eni, are directly in front of me. His inscribed prescriptions for living and being cut into the relationship, Chukahu, his engraved inscriptions of what one should do to live and receive an allotment in his written accounts, I did not remove from me, lo, Sir Min Eni, I did not turn aside from or reject me, I took nothing away from nor did I forsake or seek to abolish, Hyphal imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 22. When we exercise good judgment regarding the means Yahuwah has provided to justly resolve the issues which would otherwise cause us to be estranged, only then can he perfect us, just as he did for Daud. And so, I was, am, and will be, Hayah, have become, Kal imperfect, perfect, which is to say entirely right, tamim, blameless and innocent, totally correct and trustworthy, with him, I'm who, in conjunction with him and in his company. By being independently observant, closely examining and carefully considering everything on my own initiative, apart from all societal influences, shamar, by exploring and contemplating, and by remaining focused, independent of all religious and political influences, hitpil imperfect, I'm kept from being wrong and considered guilty, min a1 any, I'm free from the consequence of any wrong incurred. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 23. Once we know what God is offering and understand what he is expecting from us in return, we are properly positioned to capitalize on the promises of his covenant. This is because Yahowah's Torah teaches us how to be right. Dowd did, and so Yahowah reciprocated. Therefore, YAHOWah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation, has brought me back, restoring me, Shabla returned me while changing people's perceptions of the truth regarding me such that they turn to me, Haiful and perfect, in a manner consistent with, accordance with and corresponding to, me being right, honest, and accurate, Tzedek me being correct, justly vindicated, and acquitted, according to, consistent with, the purity of my intent and influence, Boryad the cleansing of my hands and testing as I accomplished the task, from bearer, to purify and cleanse, testing and proving, from his perspective, Lanegd, who, in his view before his approach. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 24. This made Dowd the perfect candidate for this mission. It is why Yahowah is restoring him well beyond his former duties and glory. It is why we are reading what he wrote. Yahowah is always fair. At the very least, we get what we deserve. God responds to us as we respond to him. With him, the steadfast, loyal, and devoted, Chesed, the set apart and godly, the dedicated and compassionate, you are steadfast, loyal and devoted, as well as loving and merciful, Chasad, you are trustworthy and kind, favorable and compassionate. With the strong and innocent man who is correct, Jiber Tamim, the person with strength of character and courage who prevails, who is empowered and entirely right, you perfect, Tamam, you are prepared to complete, prepared to provide what is required to make whole such that nothing is lacking. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 25. It is our responsibility to be correct and, thus, right about God. It is Yah's job to perfect us. When we do our part, we can count on him doing his. As a Jiber, a man of character and courage who was right about Yahowah, as a Chesed, steadfastly loyal and devoted individual, Dowd was emboldened, knowing that Yahowah would respond in kind, and he said so without equivocation. With those who are sharp and who choose to be separated, bearer, those whose motives are pure, who after examination remove and cleanse themselves, who are bright, tested, and proven, you cleanse and purify, bearer, you have chosen the separated and after examination and testing and have provided purification and cleansing. But, with those who distort and pervert the truth, Ikesh, those who twist and warp what is just and right, the corrupt, you show hostility, Pathau, you create strife. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 26. To be connected with God, we must separate ourselves from the common beliefs and institutions of man. It is better to be sharp, indeed bright, than dull, for he is brilliant and isn't looking to surround himself with dimwits who are too lazy to engage and think. And as for those who distort and pervert his witness, as we have seen Shayol Paul do with reckless abandon, we know that Yah is far shrewder and will soon turn the self-proclaimed apostles' corrupting lies against him. What we haven't often considered, is that God is capable of a full range of recompense, all the way to being torturous when warranted. After all, how does one deal with Paul and Muhammad, the Mongol Tamerlane, Germany's Hitler, Iran's Ayatollahs, or their pet bulldog, Hezbollah's Nasrallah? The key to understanding this next stanza requires an appreciation for one of Yah's favorite words, Anna, to answer and respond. For, you, Ada, deliver, liberate, and save, Yasha, you rescue and free, assisting, Haiful and perfect, a responsive and unpretentious family and a straightforward people who answer the testimony, and Pani, a nation which expends the energy to reply to the witness, as well as followers willing to invest the effort to sincerely help others in this relationship as an honest witness without arrogance, from Anna, to answer, reply, respond, ask, and declare information as a concerned witness, consistently occupied with the testimony, embroiled in the thought process, and concerned about the relationship, singing, vocally communicating, and shouting, even when discounted and afflicted by doing so, but, those with haughty eyes and a rebellious gaze, Ein Rom. Those with a high and mighty perspective who see themselves as honorable, triumphant, and having attained an elevated position, the winners in their own eyes who are arrogant about their insights and understanding in their sight. You humble and bring down, shaffle, you denigrate and humiliate, demean and belittle, taking them from their high position to a much lower one, abasing them, Haiful imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 27. The doorway to heaven opens for us when we respond to Yahowah's testimony. God's 7 invitations await our response and participation. The path to becoming part of our Heavenly Father's family is straightforward, and it is predicated upon us answering his call by incorporating the answers provided throughout his witness. In this regard, God's way and man's go in opposite directions. The religious look up to their God, praising him in the hope that he will save them. But his family looks down at the words he wrote for us to read. By understanding them, we know Yah's answers to all of our questions. The method Yahowah deploys to effect the benefits of the covenant is to envelop us in his light. Light perfects us because where there is light, there is no darkness. Light makes us immortal because light, once emitted, is eternal. Light illuminates the words he wrote for us to read so that we could become enlightened. Light empowers us by the square of its speed. And light makes us more like Yah, who is light. For, ky, in reality, it is you, Yada, who lights, or, who shines brilliantly and brightly within, my lamp, Ne'eni, my luminary filled with olive oil. YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Haya, existence nar shalom, restoration, my God, Elohim Eni, illuminates, Nega, provides light, shining brilliantly, burning brightly in, my darkness, Choshek Eni, my darkest places where I would otherwise be ignorant or confused, dim-witted or depressed. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 28. This is what made Daud brilliant, right, and perfect. It is the same benefit Yah is offering the rest of us. Therefore, by illuminating our souls, we appear perfect, bright, and beautiful in God's eyes. In defense of his people, Daud makes Superman look like a chump. Surely with you, Kyba, Ada, indeed, by you, I can run and quickly drive off, ruts, I can rapidly chase away and dispatch, Kalin perfect, a division of troops or a raiding party, Gedud, armies, paramilitary, bandits, and raiders, Gadad, those who, acting together, invade and attack, penetrating one's territory militarily, politically, or religiously. And by my God, Waba, Elohim Eni, I can scale and ascend a wall or leap over a foe, Dalig Shur, I can climb over a barrier, jump over any wall, or rise above any enemy. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 29. He was the ultimate avenger, the prototypical superhero. Fighting to defend his people, he won every battle. And while he was three-dimensional and corporeal twice upon a time, Daud of the third coming will be four-dimensional, and perhaps six, in accordance with Yahuwah's promises. He will be a beacon of light, tested and refined, equipped and protected by Yah. As for the Almighty, Ha-El, his way is completely right and entirely perfect, Tamim Dereku, his path is without defect, absolutely correct, unblemished and true, making a person who travels along it blameless and innocent. The instructions and promises, Imra, the words and statements which are certain to be fulfilled, from Amar, sayings and speech, answers and promises, that which is said, told, intended, and related, of Yahuwah, Yahuwah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation, are flawless when tested and they are refining, Saraf, remove impurities when examined and they are worthy of trust. He provides the gift of a protective shield, Megan who, giving the present of an ornamental and defensive weapon which forestalls an attack, from Ganon, a protective covering which surrounds, for all, Lakol, who trust him to keep them safe, Hachasa Ba who take refuge in him, seeking his protection by confidently confiding in him and relying upon him. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 30. It was and forever will be Yahuwah's words that matter. They convey everything we need to know to receive everything God has to offer. There may be a tendency to assume that individuals like Moses and Daud, through their direct contact with God, have an advantage over those who later read their words. However, if you consider what Daud wrote, it is apparent that he came to know Yahuwah through the Torah and Ruach, just like the rest of us. Reading and observing the Torah made Daud right in God's eyes, and that is why Yahuwah could deploy him as the Passover lamb. For, ky, by contrast to others, who, my, asking a who, what, where, why, when, or how question, is God, Eloah, the root of the title chosen by the Almighty, apart from, min, except, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, restoration. And who, my, asking a who, what, where, why, when, or how question, is a rock, sur, besides, Zola, except, our God, Elohim Anaknu, 1831, the God, Ha-El, who prepared and equipped me, Azar Eni, who strengthened and girded me, who encompasses and adorns me, with the ability and aptitude to prevail, Chael, with a worthy character and physical capabilities, enriching and empowering me. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 31. He provided the means necessary to make, Wa Nathan, he has offered the gift of making, my way, Derek Eni, my journey through life, my path and route to the destination, and my conduct, right, Tamim, correct, without defect or fault, making me innocent and perfect. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 32. To avoid any confusion, Daud took the time to explain that he became right with Yahuwah by being observant and judgmental. Therefore, it behooves us to acknowledge that his approach to God was cerebral. Equipped with knowledge and understanding, he was prepared to prevail. That said, he was also a poet and lyricist, so we must make an accommodation for his exuberant prose. He likened my legs to those of Shawa Regal Eni Ka, he crafted my stride similar to the deer, Ha Ayala, a doe, a female deer, and he presented me standing, Wa Amad Eni, causing me to stand, strong, secure, and sustained, on a high and elevated place, Alabama, upon the heights. Mizmor 1833. He trained, Lamed, he taught and instructed, my hands, Yad Eni, for the ensuing battle, Laha Milchama, for the upcoming conflict which is close at hand, so that my arms can bend a bronze bow, Wanaketh Kashe Nachusha Zeroa Eni. Mizmor 1834. There is a cadence to these words and alliteration in Hebrew which does not translate into English. Therefore, we can convey the meaning of the words, but we cannot replicate the poetic appeal of the psalm. Dough toes and bronze bows lack intellectual stimulation. And frankly, this is the least inspirational presentation of Zeroa we have encountered. Nonetheless, with the artistry of a songwriter prone to poetic prose, Daud is suggesting that he was given the agility of a deer standing atop the high ground, trained to bend a formidable bow. He was fleet of foot and stood tall, always ready to defend his people. There is no place on earth loftier in Yah's eyes than the ridgeline of Tzion on Moriah. And it was there, during his first life, that Daud was trained for the ensuing battle, serving as the ultimate Zeroah, strong arm of God, protective shepherd, and sacrificial lamb. Back into the realm of more customary symbolism, we find that the father defended his son. You bestowed unto me, Wa Nathan La Eni, you consistently offered and appointed for me, Callan perfect, the protective shield, Megan who, the gift of a defensive barrier which forestalls an attack, from Ganon, a protective covering which surrounds, of your liberation and salvation, Yasha Ada, of your deliverance and freedom, overall safety and welfare. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 35 in part. Recognizing that the preceding statement focuses upon Yahowah equipping his son to defend his people, perhaps the opening statement of what is now considered the 35th verse should be in addition to the 34th. This way, the bow is with the shield, with both serving to support Daud in battle. Also, in this case, with offensive and defensive weapons at the ready, the son was trained by his father to wield both effectively. He not only delivered his people from those who would oust them from their land, he would return to save his family from the oppressive nature of religion and politics. It would be God's gift to Daud, making the Messiah a gift to God's people. What follows is monumental. Your right hand and influence, Wa Yamin Ada, restore and renew me, sustain and uphold me, Esayad Eni, support and strengthen me, Kal imperfect third person feminine singular, Yamin is feminine. Your unpretentious nature, Wa Anawa Ada, your humble attitude and humility, your complete lack of arrogance and genuine sincerity, from Anna, your responsiveness, reply, and straightforward answer, has encouraged me to continue on, to thrive, and to be great, Rabba Eni, has enabled my success and has multiplied and increased me, such that there are numerous individuals growing from me by intent. Hyphal imperfect Joseph third person feminine singular, Anawa is feminine. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 35. This opens with a declarative affirmation of Yahowah's influence on Daud's lives. God is committed to restoring and renewing, sustaining and supporting, strengthening and upholding his son so that he can serve as our Savior, Messiah, and King. And while that is reassuring, what follows is mind-blowing in its implications. The reason Yahowah can work with and through imperfect men like Moses and Daud is because he is unpretentious and actually wants to share the credit. God's complete lack of arrogance makes it possible for him to step aside and allow these men to bask in the glory of their achievements. Yahowah is so supportive of those who work with him that he lauds them with accolades, showers them with support, facilitates their success, and then offers them the preponderance of the credit. Yahowah would prefer that we acknowledge what Daud has achieved and offer his son the respect that he has earned rather than have us credit him. Yes, Yahowah made it all possible and then provided the assurance that his co-workers would achieve the desired result, and without Yahowah, we would never have heard of Moses or Daud. However, by working together with God, theirs are the most enabling and emancipating, empowering and enlightening, tremendously enriching partnerships of all time. The old adage is evidently true, there is no limit to what one can achieve when they share the credit. And when God is the one offering to do so, the results are monumental. But more than this, the realization that Yahowah is unpretentious and humble affirms that he is our Father and that he is committed to our well-being. Yahowah's approach is completely unlike the gods of man's conventional religions who are fearsome and require praise and even worship. And this difference is exactly what we should expect. Yahowah's intent from the beginning has been to conceive and raise children within his Berith covenant family. And as a parent, our Heavenly Father is happiest when his sons and daughters achieve something exceptional. If you want to see God smile, do something he wants to be done together with him. The reason Moses and then Daud were afforded their opportunities to shine is because Yahowah isn't self-centered or self-absorbed but rather unpretentious and genuinely responsive. By standing beside Daud, in support of Daud, Yahowah intentionally enabled his success, thereby facilitating the growth of his covenant family. By causing one to thrive, we can all thrive. This is what I wanted to read. Daud is great because that is what Yahowah wanted. It is what a loving father wants for his son. Yahowah's joy is in seeing his children succeed, in having them recognized for their accomplishments and appreciated. This being so, there is nothing on earth as annoying to God as Judaism and Christianity. Both religions have denied his son of his accolades and accomplishments while foisting a false Messiah on an ignorant and irrational world. It is why Yah remains so embittered by Judaism and Christianity. In Judaism, there is no acknowledgement of Daud being the Son of God, the Chosen One, the Firstborn, the Messiah, the Sacrificial Lamb, or Savior. Worse, they have associated David with the star of the false Messiah, Bar Kokhba. Just as bad, Christianity misappropriates every prophecy and promise afforded Daud by Yahowah. Every title has been stripped from him and then reapplied to their mythical caricature modeled after Dionysus. Jesus Christ, my Ars. In this case, the Father just so happens to be God, the creator of life and the universe, the author of the Torah and father of the covenant. And his Son is our King and Savior. So, it is exceptional to see Yahowah sufficiently Anawa, humble and unpretentious, straightforward and genuine, thus giving Daud credit for delivering the benefits of the Mikri Y. Everything we have read thus far resonates with this reality. God is exactly as we'd want him to be, approachable and sincere. He doesn't want to be worshipped or praised, neither feared nor seen as intimidating. God wants us to approach him as we would our own fathers, that is, if ours were like Yah. And let's not lose sight of the fact that both Yamim right hand and Anawa unpretentiousness are feminine attributes of Yahowah, which is a feminine name in Hebrew with the suffix symbolic of Sarah's contribution to the covenant. In this way, God is saying that it was through the Ruach spirit he bestowed liberally upon his anointed that these things were possible. Ruach is also feminine in Hebrew. This statement is so monumental, so insightful, and so universally defining, I am struggling to do it justice. Your right hand and influence, Wa Yamin Ada, restore me, sustain and uphold me, renew, support, and strengthen me, Esayad Eni. Your unpretentious nature, indeed, your straightforward answers, genuine responsiveness, and complete lack of self-centered arrogance, YAHOWAH, have intentionally encouraged me to continue on, to thrive, and be great, enabling me to succeed and grow such that the results are exponential. Rabba Eni. Mizmor 1835. Again, like a father with a son. You broaden, Rakab, you have enlarged, increasing the spatial dimensions, creating tremendous opportunity, hyphal imperfect second person masculine singular, my stride beneath me, ts at any tak hath any, my steps, stance, and walk, even distance traveled under me, and my stance never wavers, while lo, ma'ad karsel any, but my feet never bobble, come up lame or slip. Cal perfect third person masculine plural. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 36. The most courageous appeal ever made and the greatest stand undertaken are by the same individual. Yah's steadying hand made this possible. And Dowd thrives across a great chasm of time, with 1,000 years separating his first and second lives and 2,000 more prior to his third coming. His first life was the most amazing ever lived. He was chosen by God and anointed 3 times beginning at 8 years old. He was robustly filled with the Ruach spirit, enabling his success. He became Yahowah's son, his firstborn. A shepherd who became king. He unified Yisrael and established the family home in Jerusalem. He was an exceptional prophet and lyricist. And unlike any other, he foresaw and then described what he would endure in his second and third lives. Even with all of that, his greatest achievements came later when he served as the Pesach, Isle and then carried his people's guilt into Sheol on Matzah to perfect the children of the covenant. He became the first to celebrate Bikurim as intended. His sacrifices and subsequent rewards were the greatest in history and yet are seldom acknowledged. Striding boldly into the future, Dowd has earned the right to be our king and rule the world. And he will do so, staying in character, never wavering from the script he and his father have written. Dowd is not a pacifist nor is he tolerant, something he inherited from his father. I will pursue, Radaf, I will chase after and prosecute, striving against and persecuting, Cal imperfect first person singular, my enemies, Oyeb any, my foes, those in open opposition to me, those treating me with animosity and rancor, showing hostility and enmity toward me, and, Wah, I will be equipped to overtake them, Nazaghem, I will be prepared to catch them, hyphal imperfect first person singular. And, Wah, I will not return or be restored, lo, Shub, I will not have repaired my reputation, Cal imperfect first person singular, until they are all gone, neither having perished nor being wiped out, ad Kalahem, until they are finished, eliminated, or destroyed, Peel infinitive. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 37. There are 3 keys to properly translating this statement. First, the verbs, Radaf pursue, Nazag overtake, and Shub return, were all written in the imperfect conjugation, indicating ongoing action. This means that Dowd expected these things to continue unabated. They are not things pursuant to Dowd's past and do not apply to his initial life because God provided him a respite. So, these claims are prophetic. Second, the primary meaning of Shub is to return and to be restored. Therefore, Dowd is affirming that, for his reputation to be repaired, those who besmirched it must go. So, the Messiah wants Christians and Herdim gone before he returns since they are the ones who sought to destroy his reputation. And third, when Dowd speaks of his fulfillment of the Mikra-EY during his second and third coming, he writes in first person singular without a reference to his masculinity. The reason is that he will do so through the redeployment of his Nepesh soul which is feminine. He left this clue throughout this prophecy. Dowd has already lived 2 lives and will soon commence a third. He won every battle against those who would harm Yisrael. Then he confronted death and damnation, the greatest threats to humankind, by fulfilling Pesach and Matzah. And in the end, Dowd will vaporize the religious who have defamed him while defeating the adversary and every Gentile nation associated with Ha-Satan. Only then will the world be ready for transformation in Yahuwah's return. The militant and patriotic, the conspiratorial and religious, will be removed prior to the earth returning to Eden. Perpetrating the most egregious crime, therefore robbing billions of souls of the benefits derived from the Messiah's fulfillment of Chag Matzah, comes with a consequence. I will pierce them, Makat's hem, I will strike and shatter them, crushing them, Cal imperfect first person singular, impeding their ability to rise up, while lo, Yakal Kyum, incapacitating them, rendered incapable of taking a stand, unable to incite hostilities. They will fall, Naphau, they will be overcome and fail, Cal imperfect third person masculine plural, under, Takhath, beneath, my feet, Regal any. Mizmor 1838. And this is because, KY, you will prepare and equip me, Azar any, you will strengthen and gird me, you will encompass and adorn me, training and outfitting me for this conflict, Peel imperfect, with the capability, character, and courage, Chezek, with the competency and wealth, the power and strength, the resources and attributes, even the credibility, from Chazak, to harden and strengthen, to make me firm and resolute, to prevail in this conflict, YAHOWAH Milchama, for this battle and war, to combat these foes. Rise up against me, Kyum any, stand up to me, and you will kneel down, prostrate and subdued, Kara, you will bow down in submission, slumped over and vulnerable, ready to die, hyphal imperfect second person masculine singular, beneath me, Takhath any, under and below me in a natural succession of events. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 39. While King Dowd vanquished every foe threatening Yisrael 3,000 years ago, they did not bow in submission before him. However, this will occur upon the Messiah's return when Israel's foes bow down in judgment, hoping to die. As a result, there will never again be a political or religious uprising against God or Yisrael. Every covenant member has a role to play in this conflict. Dowd's mission has been to remove our guilt and then rid the world of those in opposition to Yahuwah and Yisrael, eliminating those who reject the Torah and its covenant. Ours is to share Yahowah's testimony on these matters so that as few people as possible remain on the wrong side of this debate. It is a very bad idea to bow down before God or his representatives. This is the fate awaiting those who have risen to power by denigrating God's beloved Son. While what follows is symbolic of incapacitating those who would harm Israel and kill Jews, silencing them, Dowd will not actually be breaking necks. However, by using this graphic language, we gain a better appreciation of the animosity which exists between Dowd and the religious who denied and denigrated him. Those who are adversarial toward me, YAHOWAH, those in hostile opposition to me, those with animosity and rancor toward me, you have offered the back of the neck to me, YNATHANLA, you have brought bowed heads and broken necks to me, Cal perfect second person masculine singular. And so, those who have shunned and discounted me, Sain any, those who have shown me no respect, I will silence them, Sameth I stop them and destroy them, hyphal imperfect first person singular. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 40. Considering that the prophetic evidence is ubiquitous and undeniable, it is incredulous that not even 1 in a million acknowledges that Dowd is the Messiah and Son of God, and fewer still realize that he fulfilled Chag Matzah at great personal cost. The rancor toward the Zerah is palpable. And it isn't just a matter of robbing the Son of God because, by misappropriating what Dowd has done in the name of religion, they have misled billions of souls. Oref is from an unused root indicating that the heads of those who have discounted Dowd's achievements will be bowed in submission and then broken, debilitating those who sought to negate our Savior. Those who have shunned the Messiah to boisterously promote Jewish and Christian religious myths will be silenced. Whether it's bobbing one's head up and down before a stone wall or being duped to pray without ceasing, those who join prayer groups and become prayer warriors, praying at every possible occasion, will soon appreciate what they should have come to realize long ago: God never once answered their prayers, he never even heard them. What follows indicates that when there is no active advocate speaking on behalf of Yahowah and Yisrael, presenting the merits of the Torah and Berith, explaining Dowd's purpose in fulfilling the Mikri Y, access to Yahowah is curtailed. This is to say that God will not respond to Yehudim or Gawim until they are sufficiently motivated to cease being religious and political and are, as a result, willing to listen to his testimony. Without a witness, this does not occur. They will cry out for help, shawa, they will continually plead for relief, desperate for aid, imploring, peel imperfect third-person masculine plural, but there is no one, equipped to deliver or save, Moshiach, able to liberate or rescue, to help or preserve, to provide safety or victory, from Mo, to question Yasha, freedom and salvation, unto, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation. And so, he will not respond or answer them at this time, lo anahem, he will not reply to them at this moment, Cal perfect third person masculine singular. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 41. Through his prophets, Yahowah has revealed that there will be a very long period of estrangement between him and his people. During that time, there will be no one willing to listen to God or share his message. This is the result. They didn't care to listen to him, so why should he listen to them? They insulted his beloved Son, engendering the wrath of the Father. They universally refused to answer his invitations to be called out and meet, so Yahowah is responding in kind. For the millions of religious and political Yehudim and billions of misled Gawim, Dowd will put them out of their misery. For the covenant family to live in peace, for the earth to flourish like Eden, the time has come to clean house, and Dowd has been given the broom. This stated, the realization that Yahowah does not listen to or answer prayerful pleas for salvation is something that should be plastered on every church, synagogue, and mosque door. I will crush them, pulverizing them, washachakhem, I will grind them, rubbing them out, milling them, as if they were dust, afar, insignificant earthen material, rubbish and rubble, simply dirt, before the presence of, Alpana, upon the appearance of, the spirit, Ruach, the set-apart feminine and maternal manifestation of Yah's nature, unseen but felt as an energetic force. Like, similar to, the muck and mire, tyt, the viscous mud and sticky slime, the easily molded clay, of the public places, chouts, of cut off and severed, outside of the relationship in the broad and open way, I will be prepared to remove their worthless fantasies and delusions, ryqhem, I will be able to cast out the troublesome mercenaries and vain scoundrels, hyphal imperfect first person singular. Mizmor/lyrics to a song/Psalm 18 verse 42. By using the verb, shachak, Dowd is leaving his options open. The souls being swept away, including the dust of politics and the muck of religion, are either being pulverized to the point they no longer exist, or they are being sent off to Sheol where they will be crushed. And this means that those who are unknown to Yahowah by this late date will be without hope, having exhausted their appeals. Ryq is another provocative term because as a verb it speaks of emptying and pouring out so as to remove and thus eliminate. However, as a noun, Ryq is evocative of what Dowd intends to remove, fantasies and delusions which are false and worthless. Ryq can also address malicious mercenaries and vain scoundrels. Simply stated, souls apart from Yah have no lasting value. Having succumbed to the puffery and vanity of rabbis, imams, pastors, priests, and politicians, they are merely an impediment to progress, muck and mire to be scraped off of the streets and tossed away. Dowd will finally assume his rightful place without restraint or limitation. He is the king of the world. You caused me to be reborn and delivered me, Palat any, you arranged my birth, sent me out, and saved through me, Peel imperfect second person masculine singular, in the midst of, min, on account of, out of, and from, their contentious and quarrelsome disputes in opposition to, ryb, their pleading for prosecution, their ongoing opposition and hostility, their taunting insults and disputes accusing, infinitive masculine plural, the people comprising the family, am. You have continually appointed, placed, and positioned me, sim any, you have set me, cal imperfect second person masculine singular, as the head, la rosh, as the leader and uppermost, of a confluence of individuals, including people of ethnicities other than Yisrael, Gowan, family, people who are now related kin, I had been unfamiliar with, lo, yada. I had not been acquainted with or known, cal perfect first person singular, such that they will engage and work with me, abad. Any, they will serve with me, cal imperfect third person masculine plural. Mizmor/Psalm 18 verse 43. Palat was scribed in the imperfect conjugation so we would know that Dowd would be reborn and delivered more than once. He arrived in the midst of RYB quarrelsome disputes and contentious opposition. 2,000 years ago, in year 4000 YAH/33 CE, Jews were at each other's throats as Rome trod upon them. 2,000 years later, in year 6000 YAH/2033 CE, Jews remain viciously divided between progressives and Haredim while the world seeks to divide the nation, giving much of it to the terrorists who despise them. The more things have changed, the more they have remained the same for Jews. The second portion of Dowd's pronouncement is music to my ears. Upon his return, Dowd is far more than the king of Yisrael. As the foremost leader of a confluence of ethnicities, he is king of the world. Moreover, every covenant member will be afforded the distinction of being able to serve with him, contributing to a better life for God's people. As affirmation that there will be Gowan who will come to work cooperatively with Dowd, who will act and engage based upon what he has done for us, the Nakar observant foreigner began as one and now there are many. And indeed, this one Gowi, in particular, seems to have caught the prophet's eye. By, la, him hearing the message, shema ozen, him receiving the information being conveyed, infinitive masculine singular, they were able to listen to me, shama, la, any, they could hear what I had to say and could understand and benefit from what I had pronounced and proclaimed, nifle imperfect third person masculine plural. Those brought into the family, Beni, the offspring and children, even the group associated with, from Bana, the family and home re-established, by the Nakar observant foreigner, who paid attention and came to understand, Nakar, by the one from a different place and time who was observant and responsive, from Nakar, someone who, by being circumspect and discerning, has come to recognize, acknowledge, and become acquainted with and then comprehend that which deserves our highest regard and respect, they will be prepared to submit to me, kachash la any, will be ready to accept me, even as they are disowned and cringe at having been deceived and emaciated, peel imperfect third person masculine plural. Mizmor 1844. The newly born members of the family, Beni, the offspring, children, progeny, and people, associated with the observant and discerning foreigner, Nakar, of the individual from a different place and time who paid attention and came to understand, had lost heart, having been played for fools, so they were concerned about their futures, Nabal. They were worn down for having been treated with such contempt and for having previously failed to understand, cal imperfect. They were naturally anxious, wacharag, so they were concerned about what to expect, cal imperfect, regarding their boundaries and having been shut out, misjereth hem, with restraints having been imposed upon them. Mizmor 1845. The reason Yahuwah has been so annoyed over having no one to listen to him is that, without a willing participant, there is no way to reach his people. When there is one, there can be many, but with none, there is no hope. Beni those brought into the family represent newly born covenant members. Their last-minute journeys to God will have been harrowing. They will be frustrated over having been misled by those they had once trusted and a bit anxious about leaving so many popular notions and institutions behind. And as a result of the Nakar's translations and analysis, they will recognize that they had been deceived regarding the importance of the author of this psalm, Dowd. He is much more relevant and enlightening than almost anyone had previously perceived. Nakar observant foreigner is one of the titles Yahuwah has bestowed on his final witness. He is the one who listened so that others would hear. One of the more challenging verbs we have encountered is kachash. Lexicons like to render it as growing lean or feigning obedience, even to disavow or deceive, but those definitions do not work in this sentence. Fortunately, of the 3 times kachash appears in the Psalms, it is used as it is here, with those who were previously deceived coming to accept Yahuwah. So, while I'm not comfortable with the idea of submission, there appears to be an awakening among those who were previously denied access to God because of their religion who are now equipped to embrace Him. Almost every new covenant member will recognize that they had been deliberately misled. And the family will be so new to them and so contrary to everything mankind had promoted as worthy, they will naturally be worried about their future, indeed, even a bit nervous. The confidence Dowd expresses, as those who have worked along with the Nakar these many years have come to enjoy, grows over time. Therefore, we should not only expect but be sympathetic to the fact that those striving to survive the deadly and deceitful time of Jacob's troubles will be apprehensive, even after initially becoming acquainted with and accepting the truth. Learning and growing occur over time, and confidence rises with experience. It is common to receive questions from covenant members who are still seeking to understand aspects of Yahuwah's guidance. They are apprehensive about such things, especially when the answers are so diametrically opposite to what most have been led to believe. Therefore, Dowd is being real with us, telling Yisrael and Yehudah, on the cusp of his return with Yahuwah, that he recognizes they will need comforting. But given time, and a newly found passion for Yah, they will come to sing similar songs. Yahuwah, Yahuwah, lives to restore and nurture life, Che, exists to animate life, is vigorous, robust, and growing, so blessed and beneficial, Wabarak, is my rock, Sur, Eni, my firm foundation and rocky crag. Exalted on high, Rum, elevated in greater dimensions, choosing to take action from above, is the God, Elohim, of my deliverance and salvation, Yesha Eni, my welfare and prosperity. Mizmor 1846. Yahuwah's intent through the Berith and Micro EY is to restore and nurture life, making us all we can be. This is the ultimate blessing. Dowd's rock is the ridgeline of Tzion atop Maria in the heart of Jerusalem. Just as he foretold, our salvation is predicated upon the enduring nature of what Father and Son said and did in this place. Without the words to explain the fulfillment of the mode, no one would be able to capitalize upon their collaboration. We have a responsibility to guide anyone who is receptive to learning how to live their life in sync with Yahuwah's will, even when we have to admonish those who are so newly born into the covenant that they do not understand why God accomplishes his will through people like Dowd. Until they have invested the time to diligently study Yah's word, they may not yet appreciate why we must be politically incorrect, anti-religious, and apolitical, disassociating from the societal customs and counterproductive conspiracies which have led so many astray. It is true now and will be then that recent additions to the covenant family will not have yet grown to the extent that they comprehend why we can neither be just nor compassionate until we use our words backed with evidence and reason, to expose and condemn the institutions and individuals who have promoted deceitful, destructive, and damning myths. Therefore, considering the timing and recognizing that Dowd's role in our edification and salvation is just now beginning to resonate with this audience, the Mashyach is asking a profoundly important question. Why question the God, Ha-El, who gave, Ha-Nathan, who appointed, assigned, and allowed, bestowing to, cal participle, me the responsibility to seek retribution, holding the abusers accountable, Nakama La-Eni, me the authority to punish the deserving, justifying payback against those who have inflicted harm, avenging those they have hurt, by speaking to, Dabber, using words, written and spoken, to communicate a message and address, the people, the family or nation, in my orderly and straightforward manner, Thaketh Eni, in my organized way which is neither random, chaotic, nor capricious. Mizmor 1847. Without holding those who have abused God's people accountable, there can be no justice. Jews deserve to know that those who have deliberately harmed them, tortured them, will be punished for what they have done. And as it turns out, Dowd will not only be charged with sweeping the muck away, he, as king, will hold these same individuals accountable. It will also be his job to console their victims, speaking to them such that they have justice and closure. Why question the God, Ha-El, who enabled me to survive and has now delivered me, Paleth Eni, causing me to be born anew to rescue and save, Peel participle, in the midst of, min, those who are rancorous toward me, Oyeb Eni. Moreover, making the correlation and even more importantly, you are lifting me on high and exalting me, Rum Eni, you are so proud of me, you have raised me, Polel imperfect second person masculine singular, over, min, those who rose up and stood against me, Kyum Eni, and away from, min, the malicious false witness conveying man's destructive and violent nature, Wsh Chamas, the deadly, unjust, and errant character of humanity, the war-prone, plundering, and malevolent propensity of mankind. You are defending me such that I'm prepared to save, Natsal Eni, you are snatching away and saving with me, hyphal imperfect second person masculine singular. Mizmor 1848. When it comes to fulfilling Pesach and Matzah on behalf of the covenant family, it was a collaborative effort, with father and son being in full accord. It is what Dowd wanted and Yahuwah supported. In the same circumstance, and with the same level of character and courage, knowing what he knew, we would make the same decision. It was 2 days of torture and torment for a lifetime of knowing that he had given birth to the covenant family, making it possible for his people to live with God. For these reasons and a host of others, Yahuwah is proud of his son, as we should be. And therefore, when confronted by Ha-Satan, God will have Dowd's back, ever ready to defend his Towrah. When we accept who the Messiah is and what the Son of God has done, the false witness of the adversary has no effect on us. He becomes nothing more than another errant voice to expose and condemn. It is all in a day's work with our Father. For this reason, Al-Ken, on this account, therefore, it is proper, correct, and right that, it is wonderful knowing you, and I want to thank you, Yada, Ada, I am prepared to publicly acknowledge my appreciation, extolling your attributes, expressing my admiration for you, hyphal imperfect first person singular Joseph. Among people of every ethnicity, YAHOWAH, with regard to the people of different races and places, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, I will choose to sing, Zammer, I want to make beautiful music, Peel imperfect cohortative first person singular, to your name, Lashem Ada. Mizmor 1849. Even when the job is difficult, Dowd realizes that he will be serving his people, pursuing his father's business in the most correct and moral manner. So rather than grimace, he will be singing. His songs will be heard the world over as his jurisdiction will extend well past the borders of Israel. And through it all, one name shall reign supreme, Yahuwah. Let us also appreciate that, while Yahuwah is singing Dowd's praises, his son is seeking to please his father. He enables tremendous growth while promoting the importance of, Gadol, he provides an increase in spatial dimensions and time, honorably rearing while magnifying, hyphal participle masculine singular, freedom and salvation, Yeshua, liberation and deliverance, the prosperity and general welfare, for and through his king, Melech who, for the one he has chosen to provide counsel and advice and act as his approved leader. He engages, demonstrating, Asa, he acts to advance, performing to promote, cal participle masculine singular, enduring love, unfailing kindness, and steadfast devotion, Wachisad, great affection and unwavering favoritism and mercy, on behalf of, his anointed Messiah, Mashyach who, the one he set apart, prepared, and dedicated to lead, anointing, Dowd, the beloved, and what he sows. Wala Zerah who, his posterity and descendants, forever as an eternal and restoring witness, ad aulam, for all eternity. Mizmor/Song/Psalm 18 verse 50. Let there be no doubt, Dowd is Yahuwah's appointed and beloved, empowered and favored Melech king and Mashyach anointed Messiah. It was true then just as it is true now and will be so tomorrow and forevermore. He is the living embodiment of Yahuwah's, Chesed, enduring mercy and steadfast devotion. He is the source of God's eternal and restoring testimony to his people. This Mizmor provides yet another word's eye view of our future, and of father and son working together for the benefit of the covenant family. This is on behalf of the eternal leader, Lahanatzak, with regard to the one who serves with, Lahebed, Yahuwah, Yahuwah. It is regarding Daud, who, walking along the correct path which provides the benefits of the relationship, Asher, spoke the words, Daber, of this song, Ha-Shira Ha-Zoth, to approach, Yahowah, during the day, Yahowah, delivered him, Natsal, Ethu, from the pause, Min Kof, of all of those in opposition to him, Kol Oyebhu, in addition to, Min. The hand and influence, Yad, of Shayol. He said, Wa Amar, Mizmor 18, Introduction, I have always loved you, cherishing our association in this relationship with you, Rekem Ada, Yahowah, my strength, and the one who empowers and enables me, making me competent and courageous, forceful and resolute, Chezek Eni. Mizmor 18:1. Yahowah, is the reason behind my elevated and unassailable position, Sila Eni, my protection, keeping me grounded and steadfast, Wa Matsuda Eni, my means to survive, Wa Palat Eni, my God, El Eni, and my rock, Sur Eni. In him, Bahu, I confide and I am comfortable, Chasa. He is my shield, Megan Eni, and the brilliant light, Wakaren, of my freedom and salvation, Yasha Eni. He is the source of my illustriousness in this unassailable high place, Mizgab Eni, Mizmor 18:2, whose light I radiate and virtues I extol, Halal. Mizmor 18:2. I consistently choose to call upon and meet with, Kara, Yahowah, and so, from, Min, my adversaries, Oyeb Eni, I am liberated, Yasha. Mizmor 18:3. The binding and restricting cords of the boisterous and religious, Babel, plague associated with the decay of the physical body and the pandemic disease affecting the population, Moth, attempt to entangle me so as to withhold that which is vital, trying to restrain me, Af of Eni. And, the abhorrent and detestable torrents which seek to wash away the inheritance, Nakal Belial, are inundating me, Baath Eni. Mizmor 18:4. Shayol, tentacles, these binding cords of the boisterous and religious, Babel, try to spin me around and change me, altering my purpose, Sabab Eni. They approach and confront me, making claims against me, Kadam Eni, with the enticing lure, Mauksh, of the plague of death, Moth. Mizmor 18:5. In having been bound up and confined, with my scope distressfully narrowed and restricted in adversarial fashion, Ba Hatser La Eni, I consistently call upon and continually meet with, Kara, Yahowah. I have requested assistance, Shua, from my God, Wa El Elohim Eni. He consistently listens, Shama, to my voice, Kaul Eni, from, Min, his radiant residence, Hikolhu. My cry for assistance, Shua Eni, reaches his presence, Lapanahu, bow, within his ears, Ba Ozenhu. Mizmor 18:6. So then, the land, Eretz, will suffer earthquakes, Gash, and tremble violently, Ash, as this geological mechanism fundamental to building, Mosad, the mountains, uplifting the terrain, Har, will shake in agitating and anguishing fashion, Ragas, from earthquakes, Gash. It is because, indeed, he is very displeased, incensed, and angry, Charalahu. Mizmor 18:7. Burning indignation, Ashen, will ascend, Allah, from within his nostrils, Afu, and, a consuming, Akal, fire, Esh, will come out of his mouth, Min Pehu, as burning coals, Gakal, are kindled, Baar, from him, Minhu. Mizmor 18:8. He will expand the universe and enlarge the heavens, bending spacetime, Waneda Shemaim, and then, he descended, Yared, upon a very thick and opaque cloud of obscuring phenomenon to block the light, Arapel, under his feet, Takath Regalhu. Mizmor 18:9. And he will enjoy unfettered movement, Warakab, alongside a cherub-winged being, Al-Kerub, flying through the air, Wa'af. He will swoop down and soar, upon, the wings, Kanaf, of the spirit, Rawak. Mizmor 18:10. He will be transforming, Shyth, the obscuration and ignorance, Choshek, associated with his enclosure and covering, Setherhu, all around him, Sabibhu, his sukkah shelter, Sukkahu, intentionally dimmed, Chashika, with a visible atmospheric projection of water, Maim, Upshachak. Mizmor 18:11. Out of, Min, this knowledge and the brilliant illumination it provides, Noga, conveying information about him, Negtu, colorful hailstones, Barid, and flashes of fire, Wagakal Esh, passed through, Abar, the visible moisture suspended in the air around him, Abhu. Mizmor 18:12. Yahowah, will speak resoundingly, Ram, in the heavens, Ba Shemaim, and as the Almighty, Wa Elion, will offer his voice, Nathan Kaulhu, there will be hail, Barid, and flashes of fire, Wagakal Esh. Mizmor 18:13. Then he will dispatch, Washalakhu, and broadly dispense, Waputem, his missiles, Chetsu, ruining and routing the confused, consuming them, Wahamamhem, by firing countless beams of light, Barak Rabab. Mizmor 18:14. Then, mighty rivers, Apik, of water, Maim, will be seen, Raa. And the foundations, Mausada, of the world, Tebel, will be revealed and exposed, Gala, from your disapproval and rebuke, Min Giera, Ada, Yahowah, as a result of, Min, the conscience and resulting judgment, Neshama, of the spirit, Rawak, of your breath to reveal your animosity and resentment, Af Ada. Mizmor 18:15. He reached out, Shalak, from on high, Min Marom, grasping hold of me, Lakach Eni. He drew me out, Masha Eni, of the abundance of waters and a sea of rabbis, Min Maim Rabbim. Mizmor 18:16. He snatched me away and saved me, delivering me, Natsal Eni, from my most influential adversary, Min Oyeb Eni Az, and from, Min, those who shun me, openly refusing to engage with me, Saint Eni. For indeed, they held too high a status within society, had conquered too many people, and were too obstinate and hardened for me, Amitz min any. Mizmor 18:17. They approach and confront me, trying to forestall my purpose, Kadam any, during the day, Ba Yaum, of my imminent destruction, ultimate distress when carrying the burden, Yd any, and therefore, Yahowah, came to exist as, Haya, my provision to support my life and assist me, La Mishen any. Mizmor 18:18. And, he brought me out, Yatsep any, to, La, this vast expanse, Ha Merchap. He withdrew me, removing me, Shalats any, because indeed, he wants to experience life with me, and he enjoys being associated with me, Chafes Ba any. Mizmor 18:19. Yahowah, treated me, Gamal any, in accordance with, Katu, me being right, Tzedek any. Consistent with, Ka, the cleansing of my hands, Bor Yad any, he brought me back and restored me, Shabla any. Mizmor 18:20. Yes, indeed, this is because, I have observed, closely examined, and carefully considered, Shamar, the ways, Derek, of Yahowah. I have not been shown wrong, lo, Rashaki, by my God, Elohim any. Mizmor 18:21. For, his every means to exercise good judgment and justifiably resolve disputes, Kol Mishpat who were before me and available to me, La Negd any. His inscribed prescriptions for living and being cut into the relationship, Chukka who, I did not remove from me, lo, Sur min any. Mizmor 18:22. And so, I was, am, and will be, Haya, perfect, which is to say entirely right, Tamim, with him, I'm who. By being independently observant, closely examining and carefully considering everything on my own initiative, apart from all societal influences, Shamar, I'm kept from being wrong and considered guilty, min A1 any. Mizmor 18:23. Therefore, Yahowah, has brought me back, restoring me, Shabla any, in a manner consistent with, Ka, me being right, honest, and accurate, Tzedek any, according to, Ka, the purity of my intent and influence, Bor Yad any, from his perspective, La Negd, Einhu. Mizmor 18:24. With, I'm, the steadfast, loyal, and devoted, Chasid, you are steadfast, loyal, and devoted, as well as loving and merciful, Chasab. With, I'm, the strong and innocent man who is correct, Jiber Tamim, you perfect, Tamam. Mizmor 18:25. With, I'm, those who are sharp and who choose to be separated, Bearer, you cleanse and purify, Bearer. But, with those who distort and pervert the truth, I'm, Ikesh, you show hostility, Pathal. Mizmor 18:26. For, you, Ada, deliver, liberate, and save, Yasha, a responsive and unpretentious family and a straightforward people who answer the testimony, Am, Any, but, those with haughty eyes and a rebellious gaze, Ein Rum, you humble and bring down, Shaffle. Mizmor 18:27. For, it is you, Ada, who lights, or, my lamp, Na, Any. Yahowah, my God, Elohim, Any, illuminates, Nega, my darkness, Choshek, Any. Mizmor 18:28. Surely with you, Kyba, Ada, I can run and quickly drive off, ruts, a division of troops or a raiding party, Gedud. And by my God, Ba, Elohim any, I can scale and ascend a wall or leap over a foe, rising above any enemy, Dalig Shur. Mizmor 18:29. As for the Almighty, Ha-El, his way is completely right and entirely perfect, Tamim Dereku. The instructions and promises, Imra, of Yahowah, are flawless when tested and they are refining, Saraf. He provides the gift of a protective shield, Megan who, for all, La Kol, who trust him to keep them safe, Hachasa Behu. Mizmor 18:30. For, who, my, is God, Eloah, apart from, min, Yahowah. And who, my, is a rock, Sur, besides, Zola, our God, Elohim, Anaknu, the God, Ha-El, who prepared and equipped me, Azar any, with the ability and aptitude to prevail, Chael. Mizmor 18:31. He provided the means necessary to make, Nathan, my way, Derek any, right, Tamim. Mizmor 18:32. He likened my legs to those of Shawa Regal any Ka, the deer, Ha-Ayawa, and he presented me standing, Amad any, on a high and elevated place, Alabama. Mizmor 18:33. He trained, Lamed, my hands, Yad any, for the ensuing battle, Laha Milchama, so that my strengthened and protective arms can bend a bronze bow, Nakath Kashe Nachusha Zeroa any. Mizmor 18:34, you bestowed unto me, Nathan La any, the protective shield, Megan who, of your liberation and salvation, deliverance and freedom, Yasha Ada. Your right hand and influence, Yamin Ada, restore and renew me, sustain and uphold me, Esayad any. Your unpretentious nature and genuine responsiveness, Anawa Ada, have encouraged me to continue on, to thrive, and to be great, enabling my success and growth such that the results are exponential, Rabba any. Mizmor 18:35. You broaden, Rakab, my stride beneath me, Tsad any tak hath any, and my stance never wavers, Wallo Maad Karsal any. Mizmor 18:36. I will pursue and prosecute, Radaf, my enemies showing enmity toward me, Oyeb any, and, I will be equipped to overtake them, Nazaghem. So, I will not return or be fully restored, my reputation completely repaired, lo, Shub, until they are all gone, either having perished or being wiped out, Ad Kalahem. Mizmor 18:37. I will pierce them, Makathem, impeding their ability to rise up, lo, Yokol Kyum. They will fall, naphal, under, takhath, my feet, regal, any. Mizmor 1838. And this is because, KY, you prepared and equipped me, Azar, any, with the capability, character, and courage, the credibility and competency, Chezek, to prevail in this conflict, Laha Milchama. Rise up against me, Kyum any, and you will kneel down, prostrate and subdued, Kara, beneath me, Takhath any. Mizmor 1839. Those who are adversarial toward me, treating me with indifference, Wa, Oyeb any, you have offered the back of the neck to me and bowed their heads, Wa Nathan la any Oref. And so, Wa, those who have shunned and discounted me, failing to respect what I represent, Same any, I will silence them and then destroy them, Samathem. Mizmor 1840. They desperately cry out for help, Shawa, but there will be no one, Wa Ein, to free or save them, Moshiach, unto, Al-Yahowah, Yahowah, and so, he will not respond or answer them at this time, Wa Lo Anahem. Mizmor 1841. Therefore, Wa, I will crush them, pulverizing them, Shachakhem, as if they were dust, Ka afar, before the presence of, Al-Pana, the spirit, Rowak. Like, Ka, the muck and mire, Tyt, of the public places, Chouts, I will be prepared to remove their worthless fantasies and delusions, Ryqhem. Mizmor 1842. You caused me to be reborn and delivered me, arranging my birth and sending me out to save, Palat any, in the midst of, Min, their contentious and quarrelsome disputes in opposition to, Ryb, the people comprising the family, Am. You have continually appointed, placed, and positioned me, Sim any, as the uppermost leader and as the beginning, La Rosh, of a confluence of individuals, including people of ethnicities in addition to Yisrael, Gawam, family, people who are now related kin, Am, I have been unfamiliar with and had not known until now, Lo, Yada, such that they will engage and work with me, Abad any. Mizmor/Psalm 18 verse 43. By, La, him hearing the message, Shema Ozen, they were able to listen to me, Shama La any. Those brought into the family, Beni, by the Naker observant foreigner, who paid attention and came to understand, Naker, they will be prepared to accept me, even as they are disowned and disavowed, Kachash La any. Mizmor 1844. The newly born members of the family, Beni, associated with the observant and discerning foreigner, Naker, had lost heart, having been played for fools, so they were concerned about their futures, Nabal. They were naturally anxious, Wacharag, regarding their boundaries and having been shut out, Mr. Ethem. Mizmor 1845. Yahowah, Yahowah, lives to restore and nurture life, Che, so blessed and beneficial, Wa Barak, is my rock, Sur any. Exalted on high, Rum, is the God, Elohim, of my deliverance and salvation, Yesha any. Mizmor 1846. Why question the God, Ha-El, who gave, Ha-Nathan, me the responsibility to seek retribution, holding the abusers accountable, Nakama La any, by speaking to, Dabber, the people, Am, in my orderly and straightforward manner, Thaketh any, Mizmor 1847, who enabled me to survive and has now delivered me to save, Paleth any, in the midst of, Min, those who are rancorous toward me, Oyeb, any. Moreover, Af, you are lifting me on high and exalting me, and because you are proud of me, you have raised me, Rum any, over, Min, those who rose up and stood against me, Kyum any, and away from, Min, the malicious false witness conveying man's destructive and violent nature, Msh Chamas. You are defending me such that I'm prepared to save, Natsal any. Mizmor 1848. For this reason, Al-Ken, it is wonderful knowing you, and so I want to thank you, showing my appreciation, Yada, Ada. Among people of every ethnicity, Wa Ba-Ha-Gawam, Yahowah, Yahowah, I will choose to sing, Zamar, to your name, Lashem Ada. Mizmor 1849. He enables tremendous growth while promoting the importance of, Gadol, freedom and salvation, Yeshua, for and through his king, Melekhu. He engages, demonstrating, Wa Asa, enormous favoritism, enduring love, unfailing kindness, and steadfast devotion, Wa Chesed, on behalf of, La, his anointed Messiah, Mashyach who, Dowd, and what he sows, including his descendants, Wa Lazera who, forever as an eternal and restoring witness, Ad Aulam. Mizmor/Song/Psalm 18 verse 50. What an amazing confirmation of all we have come to embrace and herald. Our message to you comes from the highest authority. Yod Hey Wah Hey.